In this episode, we'll be uncovering what you can and can't control in manifesting. So let's get started. Hi, I'm Katie, and after many years as a struggling single mum, I transformed into a highly successful manifester with multiple businesses, better relationships, financial abundance, and way more peace, joy, and happiness in my life. Each week, I share the real secrets around how to manifest successfully, as well as the amazing and sometimes crazy lessons I've learned along the way, so that you can apply it all to your own manifesting, transforming your life from the inside out. This is That Manifesting Podcast. Welcome back to That Manifesting Podcast. Today, I've decided to cover a topic of control in manifesting. And this is after a recent conversation with someone who they were interested in working with me on a one-to-one mentoring basis. And they came to me and they wanted to know how to manifest a few different things. But interestingly, everything that they wanted to manifest was all focused on things that they could never control. So they wanted to know about how they could manifest an ex back. They wanted to know about how to manifest clients to say yes to contracts. But here's the thing, what they weren't considering was, did that ex even want to be back with them? You know, you can't through manifesting remove somebody's free will to act. And the same was true with manifesting clients to say yes to contracts. You know, what if your proposals were rubbish? Then you can't just manifest somebody to say yes to something if you're not putting in the right work. So it just got me thinking about the topic of control. And I realized that there's a lot of people out there that are trying to manifest based on controlling the uncontrollable. So just a bit of a warning, you might start to see a bit of my kick-ass side come out in this episode. Those who work with me will know that I love to give people a loving kick in the backside. You know, it's always with love, but I do tell it like it is. And I think that's one of the things that I find comes up a lot with people. They want to control the uncontrollable, and you're always going to fail at manifesting what you want if that's the way you come at it. So let's go for it. So what I'm going to do is cover 8 things that you can control when it comes to manifesting. So that's what we're going to do first. So let's get straight into it, because I've got a lot to share here. So the first one is you can control what you want to manifest. Now, this sounds really obvious, but actually so many people are focusing on what other people want them to have in their lives. They're not focusing on what they truly want. You see this a lot where people go to uni and they study certain things because it's what their parents wanted. And then all of a sudden in their late 20s or even older, they have an epiphany and they totally change career path. So actually, when you're manifesting something, you've got control over what you want to manifest. You know, don't focus on what other people expect of you. You've got to get clarity on your own dreams. And that can be tricky, because if you've spent your life listening to everybody else around you, then it can be tough to break that pattern and sit down and actually work out what it is that you want to manifest. So the second one are, you have control over your thoughts, your beliefs, and your feelings. And what I mean by this is how you view a situation or what you want to manifest. You get to decide how you look at a situation. And actually, we decide the meaning of something and the corresponding reaction or action to something that happens. I know that there's this story that I've heard. I hope I'm going to tell it right, but I'm going to go for it. And it really brings this to life about how you decide how you view a situation. So you might have heard this story before, but there's this farmer and his son had a lovely horse, and it helped the family to earn a living. Well, one day the horse ran away. And all the neighbours said, "Oh my goodness, your horse has run away. What terrible luck." And the farmer replied, "Maybe so, maybe not." And a few days later, the horse returned home And it was leading a few wild horses back to the farm as well. And the neighbours shouted, "Oh my God, your horse has returned. And it's brought other horses back with him. What great luck." And the farmer replied, "Maybe so, maybe not." Later that week, the farmer's son was trying to break in one of the horses, and the horse threw him to the ground, and it broke the farmer's son's leg. And the neighbours cried, "Oh my goodness, your son broke his leg. What terrible luck." And the farmer replied, "Maybe so, or maybe not." A few weeks later, soldiers from the National Army marched through the town, and they were recruiting all the boys for the army. And they couldn't take the farmer's son because he'd got a broken leg. And the neighbours shouted, "Oh my goodness, your boy is spared because of his broken leg. What amazing luck." To which the farmer replied, "Maybe so, or maybe not." And this just really brings to life that when you act on feelings in the moment, you're not seeing the whole picture. You're deciding whether to label something as positive or negative. But actually, sometimes we have to allow things to play out. So you do get to control how you view a situation. When we remove the need to label things like positive or negative, we then start to move away from these wildly varying emotions. Like you can live on a bit of a pendulum. Something's amazing and oh no, now it's rubbish. And it just removes that when you remove that need to label something. You also get to choose how you see what you want to manifest. Some people believe their dreams are too big, but the universe can help you manifest a penny as easily as £1 million. It's us who places the limitations on what we want. So when you remove the need to do all of this labeling, then you can start to increase your manifesting abilities. And your stories are within your control. My mum always worried about me as a teenager. I mean, admittedly, she had every right to worry about me because I was an absolute horror. Worst teenager going. I used to do all the things I shouldn't have done, which I won't repeat right now. I'm not ready to share those stories yet. But she was right to worry about me. But at the time, I just viewed her as being overprotective. If anyone asked me about my mum, I would say, "Oh, she's so overprotective." And it caused lots of arguments between me and her. And I regret that now because I changed the story when I got older because I became a mum. And then I saw it differently. I was that overprotective mum of my daughter. And it was only because I cared about her so deeply. So I got to choose the story. I got to choose the belief, the meaning. And when I was a child, the belief was she's overprotective. The story when I was older became she loves me and cares about me. Nothing had changed in my past. It was how I viewed it that had changed. So that's definitely something that's in our control. So the third one is your actions. So you can't just sit back and expect things to happen for you. You need to take action towards your goals. Not taking action is it's like saying that you want to manifest a holiday, but you don't get a passport. You don't buy a ticket. You don't go to the airport. You don't get on the plane, and yet you still expect to go on holiday. It's just not going to happen. So, yeah, you have to take action. Manifesting isn't about just sitting and waiting for something to come to you. I'm sorry if you felt that way. It just doesn't work like that. It isn't just about believing something. I haven't got the things I've got in my life now from just sitting and waiting for them to come to me. It's because I've listened to my intuition, I've taken inspired action, and I've made it happen. So yeah, something else you control are your actions. The next one is if you choose to do the work to remove blocks. And that is something that's totally in your control. Some people say, "No, it's too hard. I don't want to do it. I'm not willing to work on these things. I just want something to manifest." And I see this a lot. There are people that disappear off from the manifesting mindsets courses and everything because they're not willing to do that work. You know, my Create Academy is only for people who are willing to drop their guard and confront their blocks and be coachable. There's no room for ego in manifesting, because if there is, it will be your biggest downfall. You know, I still have blocks in my manifesting, and I have to confront them and deal with them. Is it hard? Absolutely. Is it impossible? Definitely not. So you have to choose to do the work to remove the blocks. That is something that is in your control. And the final thing that's in your control is the identity you adopt. You get to choose if you're in alignment. You know, imagine an athlete not adopting the identity of an athlete, staying up late, drinking loads, eating all the wrong stuff, not training. Would they be in alignment with winning? No. An athlete has to act like an athlete to win. And this is the same for anything you want to manifest. If you want to manifest a successful business, you have to adopt the identity of a successful business owner. If you want to manifest love, you have to adopt the identity of somebody who is in love. So you get to control the identity that you adopt. So let's do a little recap on the things that you can control in your manifesting. So the first one is you get to control what you want to manifest. Okay? The next thing is you get to control your thoughts. You get to control your feelings. You get to control your beliefs, and you get to control your stories. You get to control your actions, what you do about manifesting, what you do to help you bring what you want into your life easier. You get to control whether you remove blocks. You also get to control your identity, how you show up as the person who has what you want. So those are the things that you can control when it comes to manifesting. So now let's go through 5 things that you can't control when it comes to manifesting. So the first one is you can't control the exact timing of when your manifestations will happen. Okay? Some people come to me and they say, if I'm not in a relationship within 6 months, then I know that this isn't going to work for me. Or if I don't have a successful business by this time next year, then I know it's not working. And this is all wrong. You know, you are not responsible for the timing of when something happens. I recently, in one of my other businesses, I recently finished a contract with a dream client. Now, let me tell you, that took me 4 years to manifest. When I first started, there was zero possibility of me working with that dream client. So I was starting from scratch, manifesting, going through my own Create method until I got to the point where I was ready to let it into my life. And it took 4 years. I never gave up the belief that it would happen. And I didn't put any time limitations on it. I knew it would happen. It's not my job to dictate the timing of something. You know, I manifested the car that I wanted within 2 months. So one thing took me 4 years, one thing took me 2 months. It doesn't mean I'm less or more successful at manifesting. You have to look at the bigger picture. You know, things have to shift and reshift and move into alignment for you and out of alignment for somebody else to enable what you want to happen. You know, think about it. If you wanted a job in a certain company and that's what you were manifesting, things have to shift in your favor. So the person that's in the job now has to find a new job or even feel the urge to want to move before everything can start to shift in your favor. And that could take years. It doesn't mean you're less successful. And actually, that's the point a lot of people give up. So stop placing limitations on the exact timing of when your manifestations will happen and just focus on your part of the co-creation process. The second one is you can't control the exact way that your manifestations will happen. You know, I really wanted to manifest more money, and I decided that I was going to do this through a lottery win. So I really tried to specify the exact way that my manifestation for more money would happen. And that limited everything because let me tell you, I focused on manifesting a lottery win. And what I kept winning was a pound after a pound after a pound after a pound, because that wasn't the way for my higher good that the abundance of money that I now have was supposed to come to me. It wasn't supposed to be through a lottery win. And because I was trying to pigeonhole it into that, it just delayed the process. The moment I removed that limitation of feeling that there had to be an exact way for the manifestation to happen, then I started to see the amount of money rapidly increase. And it just kept flowing and flowing and flowing. But that only happened when I removed that limitation of thinking there was an exact way that it had to come through to me. And I guess the question that you have, if you struggle with this, if you struggle with, it happens a lot in love. People will think, I'm only going to be happy if I'm with that person. And quite often, it's not about that person. It's about the feelings you want to feel. Does it matter the way that something comes into your life, as long as you feel happy about the source that it's come from? So if you could feel the most magnificent love that you've ever experienced in your life, it doesn't matter who the person is because you've won. You've got what you wanted, which was that extraordinary love. So yeah, you've got to remove the feeling of trying to control the exact way that your manifestations will happen. The third one is you can't control the thoughts, feelings, and actions of other people. Again, talking about love, the need to manifest that specific person. No, you cannot remove somebody's free will. Absolutely not. If you try, I'm a big believer that that's bad juju. You can't do that, and it won't work because everybody has free will to manifest the lives that they want to manifest. Now, the interesting thing is, if the person that you want to manifest feels the same way about you, then yeah, absolutely it can happen. But you cannot force people to feel, to think, or to act in a way that you want them to through your manifesting. You just have to focus on what you want to have, what you want to feel, the thoughts that you want to have, and stop trying to manifest what other people think. Would you like it if somebody was doing that to you? If somebody was trying to manifest you to do something or feel a certain way and it wasn't how you felt, it's not a nice feeling, is it? So that is definitely something that you can't control. The fourth one this is quite a simple one. You can't control the laws of nature. You can't stop death. You can't suddenly sprout wings and fly. There are certain laws of nature that you just cannot break. And no matter, you can manifest your sweet butt until the cows come home, but you will never manifest anything that contravenes the laws of nature. So that's quite a simple one. I don't think I need to elaborate on that. The fifth one is external events. Now, this is interesting and it does have a bit of a caveat to it. So while you can't manifest an external event, you can manifest your part in it, depending on what you want to get into your life. So an example of this is I was made redundant from a corporate job that I had. Now, I could never have stopped the department from closing down. That was just not in my manifesting ability. It was an external event to me. It wasn't something I could stop. But because I was manifesting an abundance of money and a new opportunity, I was placed in that position to receive redundancy by being guided by my higher self, taking the job that would ultimately end up in redundancy, and obviously taking inspired action. So the external events, you can't control external events, but you can, in a roundabout way, use them to your advantage when you're manifesting, because certain things could happen in that external event that lead to what you want. So that's it. So that's the 5 things you can't, the 5 things that you can't control. So just to recap, number 1, you can't control the timing of manifesting. The second one is you can't control the way your manifestations will happen. Number 3, you can't control the thoughts, feelings, and actions of other people. The fourth one is you can't control the laws of nature. And the 5th one is you can't control external events, but obviously with the caveat that you can control the part that you play in those external events. So what you might have noticed here is you always have control on the internal aspects of yourself rather than the external circumstances. And that's how manifesting happens. The internal has to change first, because then the external can follow suit. Now, if you're trying to change the external first so that the internal changes, then you'll never manifest what you want. You know, if you sit there thinking, I'll be happy when, or I'll feel secure when, then you're trying to manifest from the outside in. This sounds really cheesy, but it's true that happiness is an inside job, and so is manifesting. Everything starts from within you. Once you get that internal flow right, then you will start to see your external change as a result.
So that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining me. If you've enjoyed listening, I'd be so grateful if you'd subscribe and leave a review, because it really does help me to reach more people. I've left some links in the show notes so you can connect with me, or you can grab one of my manifesting resources. Until next week, sending you lots of love, light, and manifesting vibes.